Are we live?
You're live.
Are we live? Okay, great.
Okay.
Cool.
Hola.
Thank you everybody for your patience. Welcome to the Wakanda Alliance. Happy Saturday. Super warm outside, so I appreciate y'all getting some shade with us and being able to enjoy this wonderful occasion. Do I have permission for my elders to start?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, great.
No.
I don't know what to do if I get enough from my elders. I guess I'll just sit in the corner until she's ready for me to go. Yeah, so we got a couple of things lined up. We're going to be reading a comic together if we have the time. And then we're also going to watch a episode of a series called Kizazi Moto, which is a collection of African futurist stories told by people from the continent, which is a pretty big deal. I'll get into that a little bit later. All right? Cool. All right, agenda? Yeah, ain't got to worry about that today. This is for our next event. Can y'all see that screen okay? Should I turn the lights down? Y'all can see okay? Okay. Our next events are going to be August 12th and August 26th, and then September 9th and 23rd. All right, if you do want to volunteer, please let us know. Scan the QR code or CV after the program. August 12th will be a SPEAR event. So SPEAR is our fitness, mental, and physical wellness program that we have for young people and their families. As you see, the first initiation of SPEAR, we had kids doing all different types of stuff. We're going to be doing that at the MLK Park from 2 to 4 p.m. It might be 1 to 4, depending on how much time we have, but please come through. And that's going to be at MLK Park. Bring play clothes. We're going to have a lot of fun that day. All right. Okay, escape me out. That's cool. All right. August 26th, we're going to be doing our sneaker drive. So that's our annual sneaker drive. If you have any lightly worn shoes, please bring them to one of our drop-off locations. We're going to be doing our third shoe drive. Last year, we gave out about 200 some pairs of shoes, serving over 60 families. So that was amazing, and we want to do the same thing again this year. We're going to be doing it at the King Urban Life Center, which is on Genesee. That's our old location. So we're going to be doing that on August 26th. Okay. All right, and our executive director, who isn't here, we just appointed our first executive director. Woo, yeah, so this is amazing. The board brought him up, so Mr. Darren D.Q. Grant is going to be our executive director. So please, next time you see him, give him a big hug or a slap up, whatever you prefer. All right. Surveys, we can get that out later. Okay, cool. So what we're doing here at the Wakanda Alliance, we have two major holidays, Juneteenth and Kwanzaa. But we wanted to try to connect them. And when we thought about it, we're like, okay, there's 7 months in between Juneteenth and Kwanzaa. So how about we do a principle each month, right? And so today's value is Kujichagulia, which means self-determination, right? Does anyone want to try to give a crack at defining self-determination?
Define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves.
Boom.
Instead of being defined, named, and spoken for by others.
That's it. Defining ourselves in multiple different ways instead of being defined by others, right? So yeah, a lot of different characters exhibit that. A lot of people throughout our history exhibit that. Anyone think of some people who had like extreme self-determination? Malcolm X, yeah, absolutely.
Jackson.
You said who?
George Jackson.
George Jackson, absolutely. Yeah, anybody else?
Jonathan Jackson.
Jonathan Jackson, okay. Shout out to the Jackson family. We got the last name Jackson. Very cool. Almost all the Jacksons, right? Absolutely. So yes, as Baba Eng explained, to be able to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. I have to add into that we're not being defined by anybody else. So super important. Now that icon to the right, does anyone know what that icon is?
Isn't that a chair?
You're right. Yeah, you're right. It's a stool, a chair, absolutely. But more importantly, it's a throne, right? So that is used in, I want to say the Akan tradition. That was one of their most sacred objects. So whoever sat upon that was looked at with extreme respect, right? And this is like a lot of these artifacts were taken. If you take that, then they're like, oh wait, that's our thing. You can like take the spears, take the mask, don't take the throne, right? So it's a very important figure. But also being able to determine yourself and be king of yourself, be queen of yourself, right? Being able to rule yourself, but also being able to be respectful when you do it, right? So that's what I think of when I see the stool next to the symbol for Kujichagulia, or as the symbol of Kujichagulia. All right. Great. Does anyone have a circumstance where they really had to really define themselves, but when someone else is trying to define you? Anybody ever been in that type of situation? John was like, shh, that's my life.
Story of my life, right?
Right. Yeah. But especially as black people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Someone always trying to define us and tell us who we should be, who we can't be, right? Who we can and who we can't be. Absolutely. So, I think that's the important role of stories, is being able to help us find something in ourselves to where we can be like, oh, we're gonna determine our own path. So, young people who saw Spider-Man, oh yeah, they all looked up when I heard said that. So, remember, did you see Spider-Man, the new one? Remember the scene where he was fighting the other Spider-Man on the train, and he was like, "Oh, you don't belong here. You're not meant to be. You're not meant to exist." Well, you remember his response when he said that? He said, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." Remember that part?
Wow.
I was like, "Oh," he said, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." So Spider-Man, basically the guy who was attacking him was saying that, "Yo, you don't belong. You're not supposed to be a Spider-Man. You're supposed to fall in line with all the other Spider-Men because this is how Spider-Men do." And he was like, "No, I'm gonna do my own thing." Remember why he was doing his own thing? Why? Tell me why. Die. He said, "Not in his head." Okay. You remember what happened in the movie? Did you fall asleep?
Remember what you did. He was never meant to be Spider-Man.
Right? He was never meant to be Spider-Man, and then he was like, "Well, I'm Spider-Man. I'm here now. What y'all gonna do about it?" Nothing. What up, Jay? Come on in.
Real quick,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
on that, I think I was actually just having a conversation. I was actually having a conversation with a few brothers about just how it feels that when you're a black man, especially a large black man, every time you walk in a room, every single person is calculating every worst case scenario that they believe based on what they've told about you, and just how we have to I have to start with you thinking that I'm gonna hurt you, right? That's the 0 point. Not like, hey, how you doing? You might be cool, you might be not. I'm gonna figure you out. Me and Ford walk in the room, everybody thinking, if it goes down, these people could kill us. So, and they're already in that mind frame as they're shaking, and you could see the whole process happen in a person's head as you're shaking their hand and being introduced to them. And I think sometimes our young people get that and they don't understand it. They feel the negativity, they see the processing, but they don't understand what's really happening. And it makes you angry, but then you don't know where the anger is coming from and exactly what to do with it. So I feel like when I think about self-determination, it's like every time I walk in a room, I have to show up in a way that determines that, like, I'm safe. I'm not going to harm you. I'm intelligent. We can have a conversation about anything before we ever get to that point. But the idea that we always have to prove that.
Right. Yeah. I think that's an extreme example of what self-determination is. And I think a lot of the reason why people think that way is because a lot of it is media. Anytime you read a story or watch a show, the big guy is like he's strong, but he's also dumb. But you never really see him being a genius, right? John is a genius. Ford is a genius. Like, I trust these people to build the next, there's a lot of things they've already built, right? And I trust in their genius because I see it firsthand. But because a lot of people will see someone of their stature being portrayed a certain way in all these different forms of media, that's what they automatically go to on top of the whole black thing, right? Absolutely. Anyone else? Ms. Roach, you have something to say?
Yes, I want to add to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I totally get what my one and only wonderful, darling, genius, sweetie pie son is saying. But I just want to expand on that because I have that same experience. Whenever a person of color is in a white space, be it work or shopping, etc., because they run everything, right? You have that. I have been held up, stopped, arrested, not like arrested, but in stores, like at the Lexington Co-op on Elmwood Avenue. I'm not male, I'm female, I'm old, I have a little bit of hair I got is white, is gray, but yet I'm still a threat. So, or I'm always suspect, right? So I just want to add that since the beginning, centuries ago, we have always been seen and portrayed and treated as though we were a crime. We're a crime. Having brown skin is a crime. So wherever you show up, you are already in the hole. You're already a criminal. So if you do something wrong or questionable, then it's like a second or third offense.
Mm.
It's not like, oh, well, you know, I jaywalked
Mm.
and now I'm in prison for life.
Mhm.
Whereas it's not because you jaywalked, it's because you're black behind jaywalk,
Mhm.
right? Remember that. We are seen as a crime.
Mhm.
So when we show up, uh-oh, it's a criminal.
Mhm.
It's not like JR said, you meet somebody and you evaluate them and their behavior, and then you draw conclusions, etc. And this is the key to being a black person, is that we don't get the benefit of the doubt, ever. We're always guilty. We were conceived, when we're in the womb, we're guilty.
Mhm.
We're a crime. We do not get the benefit of the doubt. We don't get a moment to be evaluated, observed, given a chance. That's why they come down on us immediately and like a ton of bricks.
Mhm.
Because we've already been prosecuted, tried, etc.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind when you show up, wherever you are. And sadly, some people who look like us think the same way.
Mhm.
Here you go.
Okay, cool.
Words of wisdom from an old lady.
We start doing our own segment called Words of Wisdom from an Old Lady.
Yeah, let's do it. I got, but listen, it's hard being black for 74 years.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. No time like the present, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Baba, do you have something too you want to share?
Sure.
Yep. Oversee, pass the mic.
Yes, thank you. My mind went back to when I went to school first as a young black child and didn't see myself in the school or in textbooks. I mean, I had to define myself every day with my family in terms of who I was as a black child, as a child of color, because everything that I saw and heard, like even with the English language, everything in the English language that defines blackness or darkness is not right. It's evil or wrong or bad. So I had to redefine that. I had to reevaluate that. Because in my culture, in African culture, specifically in Kemetic science culture, everything black is divine. Everything black is like God. If you go to ancient Dravidian culture, in ancient India, everything black is divine. God was black and female. All right, so we have to, from the very beginning of a black child going to school, that black child needs help defining themselves in the context of education, so that they will see themselves as positive. They will see themselves as connected to God, connected to divine, connected to what is right and good and righteous and beautiful. Because all of these things in the English culture, in American culture specifically, are meant to miseducate us, to make us think that we were inferior, to make us think that we were wrong, to make us think that we were criminal, so that we would act that out. And when we act that out, that becomes the entrapment that makes us more vulnerable than anybody else to get entrapped in the criminal and justice system. All right? So we have a duty, especially not just elders, but grown-ups, period, have a duty to educate, to re-educate young black children, to make sure that they see themselves in a positive light going into education. Because we are the founders of education. We're the ones who developed writing and arithmetic, liberal arts. All of these ideas and sciences originated in Africa. And we are the first people of Africa, black people. And God gave us more melanin than anybody else because what? The continent of Africa is a tropical climate. The sun is closer to the land. So we needed more melanin. We needed tightly curled hair. And God gave us all of these things. And when we didn't need it, God allowed us, our bodies, our biology, to excrete it. And this is how when you go from Africa to other regions of the world, you find lighter skins, different hair textures, different cultures, because the people responded to what God gave them and the environment. So I don't want to keep going on, but I just wanted to share that and specifically focus on the duty of all people in the African and African American community to focus on redefining education and academia for our children.
All right. I like it. Yes. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to also piggyback on what was said. As a veteran, we have been the ones who have served this country with honor, with respect, with pride, but we have been erased so many times from the history of America. Just like, for example, on the 26th of July, 1948, there was an executive order 9981 that was by Harry Truman, that was president at the time, desegregating the military. Here it is, we have served gallantly, but you want to erase us, and now we got to have another white person tell the other white people that were in total issues with it to say, oh, treat the Black folks like us. So I just wanted to bring that out because it's important. Every time we have a person, a male or female, that has done something great, and there are many, they always want to erase our history in the schools and everywhere. That's why it takes us to make sure that we take up the charge to educate our children in our communities, because it's important. They need to see us doing that.
And I'm glad we can all come together and share these things. This is all recorded too. So you want to go back and get these gems yet again, by all means, go to it. Oh yeah, it's out there. It's out there. Yeah, big brother. Definitely want to revisit these. I recognize that I have a face in here that I don't recognize. My man over there, how you doing? Hey, what's your name?
My name is Mustafa.
Mustafa, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good.
I'm really excited to be here. I was telling Baba Eng, I saw an advertisement for this in the Challenger.
Great.
And I'm an architect and teacher at Cornell University.
Sweet.
I'm interested in futurism and listening to what you create.
Really though. Yeah, thank you for coming here, Mustafa. Yeah, we have a lot of conversations about architecture in here. So yeah, and we got even more coming up soon. So we'll definitely tap in with you. So thanks for coming. All right, cool. We're gonna transition into our comic. So I'm gonna get this set up. You all can talk amongst yourselves for a little bit, and then we'll read a few pages and we'll move on to our next thing. All right, cool. All right. Otis, want to help me out with this thing real quick? And then does it show up on the screen right though?
I gotta copy that your screen.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh wait, no.
So whenever you connected in, I'll just have that stuff.
So do it now or do it?
Go ahead.
Alright, so that's mirrored. You get a controller from a different laptop.
I don't know how I did it before. Yeah, just trying because I just mirrored this screen into the screen. Like that screen, I just took that and put it in there.
Okay. Maybe share the desktop, share screen.
Share the entire screen.
Ah, yeah. That's great. Over here. Okay, great. That was fun. All right, sweet. So we're gonna get to our next part, which is our comic book for today. So Black Panther has a new comic book title out, which is pretty cool. We've been reading it. It's a lot better than the last one for sure. So in this story, basically T'Challa has been outcasted from Wakanda. There's pretty much a civil war of sorts that occurred, and he had to be exiled from Wakanda for a couple different reasons. So he's trying to find himself, but he's still the Black Panther, so he might not be king. While he's doing this whole thing, Wakanda's become a democracy, and they're doing all this other revolutionary things, but he's not the king anymore. And so he leaves the main city of Wakanda, but he goes to a different city in Wakanda, because Wakanda is a country, right? He goes to a city that's actually named after his father. And this is where he's trying to find himself and rediscover what he needs to do in order to protect his own mental state and also determine his own path. So we're going to begin to read this comic. I will start off the reading, and then if anybody's interested, they can jump in and read along with me. All right. Okay, let me cut one of these lights on.
Yes, guys, can you see that okay? All right, great.
Cool. All right. Great. All right, here we go. Go back to the first. Back it up. All right, there we go. All right, cool. In the first days after I was cast away, I traversed as far from home as I could while remaining on this planet. I bore with me the sorrows of a man utterly lost. I found comfort in reasoning that the benefit of distance might afford me some new insight, some wisdom. I even reconciled with the Avengers. They needed me more than they needed moral high ground. And though I wouldn't say it, their friendship, one trace of familiarity in my now alien life, was a balm. I could shove away the despair of my exile. But I was haunted by one question, gnawing at the edges of my heart day and night. If I no longer held the kingship of my birthright, who was I? What was Wakanda without the symbol of his body politic? I believe in a Wakanda for the people, but was it to be this nation reborn? My mind ached, turning it over. Eventually, I dwelled at the border of Wakanda, mulling over the fates of those who wanted to enter. What was this country? Land of their dreams. Les Chesmois. The nation was the king, and the king was the panther. And eventually, all three were embodied in this body. Now, what does that make me? A fragment? A ghost? I knew I had to come home. But I was not the man I had been. I would have to learn who I was and learn what this country was. My titles had me a stranger in the very lands in which I had been adorned with the crown. In the world through which I travel, I am endlessly creating myself. What did I truly know of the nation that was once my body? Nothing. I knew nothing. Burning T'Chaka. Seated at the edge of the Jabari lands, the mountain wind scrapes the streets. The people here call it the vulture, as in, dress warmly, my friend. The vulture flies in the morning. I have never felt so cold. I have never felt so far from the Golden City, even when I was at the very edge of the cosmos. All right, so that's the city burning T'Chaka. Some work in the lingering remains of the manufacturing industry that once made the city prosperous. Many are not so lucky, especially amid the turmoil over the last few years. So yeah, this new city, they have technology. They don't use vibranium as much as burning T'Chaka. So imagine like the main city of Wakanda, that place is like New York City, and this is more like Chicago. Yeah, all right, cool. Wakanda provides for its people. There is nothing of the struggle I saw in my days in New York, for instance. All are housed, fed, clothed. But my father used to say that it is many days' walk between necessities and abundance. Zana is a land of abundance. T'Chaka is a land of necessities. And might not the heart crave more than what it needs? After many days, little by little, I began to reveal myself to the people there. Small acts that they may learn of my presence. More so that I may learn of them. Sometimes these efforts fail, but sometimes they succeed. All right, so the story goes into a different direction there. But again, T'Challa has left the main city, so trying to go back to a city that's named after his father, but where people aren't as fortunate. Like, so in Wakanda, okay, the main city, Zana, that's more like Dubai, okay, right? Where everything is like nice. They got the electric cars, they got the flying things, they got all types of stuff. Here in T'Chaka, there's actually like a level of poverty. There's a particular line where people aren't as fortunate. And so they have a little bit more of necessities. Jake?
So is T'Challa learning that his utopia was never much of a utopia like he thought?
He already knew that, but I guess he's trying to reconnect with his people because back in his hometown.
Oh, so when he was in power, he didn't care, but now that there's a revolution.
Well, it's not that he didn't care. He was split between Jason. He was split between. No, you're right. No, that's a fair point. He was split between his job with the Avengers, right? He was going up into space. He was going to different dimensions, and then he had to come home and solve all the trouble that's going on in his own backyard. And so his people are looking at him like, "Yo, you're not doing your job. You're supposed to be Wakanda. You're supposed to put us first."
You're over here having fun gallivanting.
Yeah, you're gallivanting out here with the Avengers and everything.
So he was acting like a spoiled prince for him, probably.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So. But now he doesn't have any of that on his back, right? He's separated from his wife, Storm. He's got all these other things that he's done in order to separate. But I guess he had to disconnect from that in order to see like where his path should be going next. So that's kind of the point we're getting at.
The way to put it is like when you know a problem is there,
yeah,
but you like don't actually like interact with it. I think this story is about him kind of like re-interacting with the results of what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
To address the elephant in the room.
Right. And
yeah.
Like, because you know when there's a problem, but then you have to actually get it.
Yeah, I know.
See it to like really understand how to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This is like you said, addressing the elephant in the room, but also these little problems you haven't been able to get to before, but you know they're there. You just can't. It's like my credit, right? So I know I gotta fix that stuff. I know I gotta pay other things, but hey, I gotta go do Wakanda Alliance. You know, my credit's good. I'm just playing. Right.
Saying, like, now that I've lost the title, I actually can get closer to the purpose of what like the title is.
Yeah, right, exactly, which is what makes the story so super cool. This is only issue 1. They got issue 2 just came out. I'm going there right after this to go pick it up.
So speaking of Black women, shout out to Eve Ewing.
Yes, thank you.
A Chicago teacher, one of the leaders of Chicago teacher strike, builder of like the CTU, which is one of the most powerful teacher unions.
Right.
And she just did. She was like, you know what? I want to educate people through stories, and may Ironheart is not writing Black Panther, but great storyteller. And I think for us as educators and community educators, we have like a high school teacher. Now, like, how do I write stories that actually educate people?
Right. Yeah, and that goes back to what Baba was saying, being able to determine like what you want to do, what's your purpose, right? Eve Ewing said, I'm not going to get down with this. I don't like the way the structure is built. I'm going to go build my own structure. Now look at her now. She's doing a whole bunch of incredible things. She's writing Black Panther. She wrote Ironheart a few years ago, so she's doing a thing. There's also a lot of Chicago influence, which is why I mentioned Chicago earlier in the story. Go ahead.
Chicago River.
Yep, the Chicago River, yep. And then also how the city is called, yeah. Right, yeah. And then also it being called the Vulture because of the wind. Chicago's the windy city. That's the connection there too. So that was pretty interesting. But so we can read more of that comic another time, but because for the sake of time, we'll move on to our next part. Does anybody have anything they want to say on the comic itself or what they've seen so far? Anything they like? Go ahead, Jay.
I feel like what this is going to be some, it's funny because it's like it's like an overthrow kind of, and Wakanda. So it's just like it's like how it's the last to be an overthrow, just not being jailed and then killed.
Right.
More like go on somewhere, get on, gets on, and now this I feel like it's going to lead to a point that in the new country, he doesn't become king again, but he reestablishes like the Panther bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it looks like now is like, okay, maybe I don't need to keep beating up criminals, but I actually need to get some people to like make people rare, like, and actually being the protector of the country in the actual social service way, but still super heroic way. Like,
right.
Oh, I hung out with Spider-Man and Daredevil a little bit. This is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've been missing out on.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably initially why they created this in the first place.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
Part of the visuals is a lot coming back to Marvel Knights, where Black Panther was actually Daredevil for a while. I was saying there was when I started reading the Black Panther, it was during this Marvel Knight series, and if you look at the costuming and everything, it's kind of like a newer version of that. But it was really cool. Black Panther was Daredevil, and it kind of like showed what it would look like for a black man who nobody knew was black to be like observing the crime in Hell's Kitchen and getting back to that neighborhood level, more supportive, protective style. So I think there's a lot of elements of that are being woven back in here, and then just like, the tension that even exists now between big cities and small cities, and like how even like the necessities to abundance thing, I think is going to play out very interestingly and kind of take it back to, some of the original roots of the comic that a lot of us love.
Yeah.
You were asking, what we thought or felt when we saw this. As a youth, I was never interested in comics because I didn't see any of us. So, to be able to now, as a senior and a great grandmother, to be able to see some of these things, it's important that our youth see these kinds of things, see themselves in the comics and all of the wonderful and exciting things that these characters have done and continue to do. I think this is another avenue to make sure that our youth are engaged. They get to see somebody that looks like them. I wish I would have had this years ago because I probably would have read a comic. But I never, until I met y'all, did I even imagine reading a comic because I thought it was about nothing. Just white folks doing some pictures, some cartoons, and I don't even know what they were saying because I didn't even bother to look at it. So this is important, not just for the youth, but for everyone, even the seniors.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Pass the mic back there. Baba A.
Yeah, just to illuminate a little bit of what the sister was saying. Again, that goes to our responsibility to control the narrative, all right? Because other people are seeing how influential this series is. I raised my youngest son on Black comic books. I mean, there's not just Black Panther. There's a series of Heru and Osiris and Isis. There's a series of Black hero comic books that our young people can read and see themselves in. But the narrative has to be controlled by us because those figures, those heroes, represent a journey towards something. So when you talk about the idea of need versus abundance, you're talking about what's going on in the inner cities versus the so-called Black middle class. All right? And how they need to see themselves not disconnected from us, those of us in the so-called ghettos, the inner cities of America, but see themselves as connected to help all of us rise out of this lower condition together. Because if we rise together, that brings us all up to a level of prosperity where we can begin to talk about real freedom, justice, and equality in America when the table is leveled for everybody.
Amen.
Thank you for your words, as always, everybody. So we're going to get into the next part of our program today, right? So like I said before, there is a series on Disney Plus called Kizazi Moto, which gathers a bunch of different stories from the continent. Nigeria, South Africa, Niambi, like all these different places. A lot of these creators are out there. Like when you think of animation, you think of high-class animation, you might think about Japan or Korea, right? That's where a lot of animation comes from. We got anime, we got a bunch of things like that. We don't often think about Africa. And for Africa to be as big as it is, like there's so many stories that we haven't really got to explore yet. So this is a really great avenue for those creatives, and hopefully a lot of these projects grow into being their own standalone projects, right? So we're gonna watch the first episode, and if time we can watch the second one, but I definitely want to let I definitely want to hear from the young ones after they see this, what they think about it. All right. So this first one is called Herder Boy. It is about a young boy who is a herder. He's part of a lineage of people who herd these calves, and he wants to be like these professional herders that do this whole other thing. Like he wants to be like them, right? I ain't gonna talk too much about it. It's about 10 minutes long, but yeah, let's play it through. All right, y'all ready? All right, let's do it. Oh, are we allowed to play this and stream at the same time? Should we get blocked? Okay, cool.
Disney gonna bust in the door.
Yo, right. Put the mouse down. Put the mouse down. All right. Oh wait. Yo, oh, we gotta stop the thing. That's why. Okay. There it is. All right, cool.
Dushime, Isingoma, prepare for harvest.
Balpe, Captain Katono. Initiating Tazama protocol. With these eyes, there's no need to scan.
We will follow protocol, Dushime.
Wait, I'm telling you, nothing gets past me. Tivopekan, no spirits detected. They must have sensed my overwhelming presence. You are quite overwhelming.
Stuff, controller, Chosenite. Okay, greetings. You guys look like you could use a hand. Wow! Again. You get me seen before I'm ready. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
No. Go.
Yes.
No.
Sorry. Move. Ndahura, what are you doing here? You guys look like a hand. I mean, greetings. Honored herders, I have a staff and a controller. I can fight for Chwezi and defend our people. I am ready to become one of you.
Captain Katono, is it bring your little brother to work day already?
Is that a thing? You never told me about that, KK. Don't call me KK.
The Kadogo has even his own medals.
I'm not a KK.
Kadogo, the Batwezi have nothing to fear. I once defeated over 20 spirits with a single blade of grass. 20 spirits. I count 2 medals. What was that, Baskethead? You both have imaginary medals.
The Shwezi night won't harvest itself.
Of course, Captain KK.
So when do I get to play with one of these bad boys? Ndahura, it is not what we have, but what we do that makes us herders. Our food, our clothes, and the power Shwezi commands all come from these cattle and the Shwezi night they provide. The choices a herder makes affects every single head of cattle. A responsibility that cannot be taken lightly.
Yeah, cows, responsibility.
But what about the legends? Dushime, the mighty mouth herder.
Isingoma, the basket-headed killer.
And Captain KK, the one-eyed spirit assassin. I want to be a legend too. You are just a boy. You can't survive out here with these toys.
I can fight. I can be as good as you.
Do you see any fighting? Shwezi has no use for a Kadogo that refuses to listen. You leave immediately.
I'm not going anywhere.
Wait, something is wrong.
Threat detector, threat detector, threat detector.
Namionga.
Stand back, Kadogo. Spirit target locked. Whoa, Captain. It was just a Kadogo. It's not worth the risk, really.
We will finish the harvest without distraction. What the legends don't tell you is that little ones like you don't make it out here. We need to move the herd. Huh? Dushime, prepare a overtake. Ndahura? Ndahura! It looks like you guys could use a hand. No. Ow, what were you thinking? The choices a herder makes affects every single head of cattle. I still have a lot to learn. Looks like we all do. Herder boy, Ndahura, one and only legendary herder of spirits. Nobody's calling you that. Let's get back to work. Wait, so we get to pick our own names, right? Two-eyed spirit whisperer. Oh, I quite like that one. First spirit king of choices.
And you said Disney did that?
Disney did that.
Well,
Yeah.
how come they
Well, Disney hired people to do it.
Disney's finally let some fun.
Right.
But they don't let it out. I mean,
No, it's on our streaming platform. It's on Disney Plus.
oh.
Yeah, no, they just came out in earlier this month actually. So
That was good.
yeah, what time is it?
Oh, no, 10 minutes?
I don't know, it went by real fast. Then yeah, it's about.
It felt longer.
Did it really? Yeah, that's what I thought too, because I thought it was like the full 15 minutes, and it's like yeah. But yeah, cool. I want to hear from the young people first to start us off. What y'all think?
Good.
Good. All right. Here. Tell me your favorite thing about it.
Good.
One word answers sometimes.
The part where he got stuck.
Got stuck? Okay. That was scary, right? You know what was gonna happen, huh? You think he got out of there the right way? Yeah, nice. Cool. All right. Cool. All right, next. Pressure is on. Oh my goodness. That's all
You might have something to say. It's okay. No right or wrong answers. How you feel? How's the show?
Good.
About what do you like about it?
One name can pick him own name.
Yeah. Would you pick your own name if you were a superhero? Would you pick your own name? What name would you pick? That'd be it. Every time I see you, just like that.
I don't know.
Think about your superhero name. You tell me later. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Next.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great. All right. Good. What do you like about it?
When Captain Kiki said he can fight, then he proved it.
Right. He proved himself. Right. Remember what we talked about earlier? What was that? What was our word of the day? Yeah, it was Coochie Chocolate, right? That's the hard part, right? You remember what that means? The first part is self. What's the second part? Self.
Hey.
All right, cool. Anybody remember that? What the principle was earlier today?
Self-determination.
Self-determination, absolutely. Remember what it means? Okay, all right. Remember, it means to define your own self, right? To be able to tell your own story. Do you think that how to do that? Absolutely. What else do you like about it?
You may not know the word for it, but you do know what it means.
Right, you know
that you actually did self-determination.
Right, cool. Then would you want to like see this show like over and over again? Would you think that needs its own show?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Are you
Great.
gonna watch it when you get home?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, absolutely, absolutely. So, anybody else want to add? Now we can open up for the adults. I think it is cool that the first episode that they went with was a story about a shepherd, because shepherding is one of the oldest professions, you know, in human history, right? So I thought that was pretty cool, especially when we're talking about Africa and everything started from Africa. It's great that we can see a story that's told in almost every single culture, is being able to herd, right? So cool. All right, anybody else want to jump in? What'd you like about it? Yep, Jay.
I think it's symbolic because the shepherd is the one that leads and protects the herd.
Mm-hmm.
If they're being heroes, it's like we're protecting the herd, and this is our food source. We're literally protecting the money.
Right. Yeah.
Keeping our eyes on the money.
Mm-hmm.
Or in our literal way. So it's just like they're the fine line between us and everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those cultures I mentioned before dependent on cattle, dependent on a herd, or not just for food, but for supplies, for clothing, for commerce, right? Trading back and forth. Yep, absolutely. Cool. Baba, I'm passing the mic to Baba, please.
Yes, thank you. I thought it was real significant that one of the elder spirits actually said that you can learn from us and we can learn from you.
Yeah.
To the young person. So that's for us as Black people in America, we can learn from our youth as well as teach them. So they need to know that they're teaching us as well, because that's an empowerment, right? They feel empowered knowing that they can teach us as well, and we're looking for that. You know.
Yeah, cool. All right. Anybody else want to jump in?
I thought it was really cool at first how even right now, like the red and the blue, and just the idea that like the job of a herder is to create balance, and that like when you introduce the threat, you know, you can almost see the red spreading, and how they were kind of like their leadership kind of defined how the herd, whether the herd was red or blue, and just how that's that constant fight for balance, and then they saw the young person as a distraction, as we often do, right, at first, but ultimately he had the ultimate lesson of like, how can we actually take this thing that we've seen as negative and actually flip it into something that we can actually work with and not see it as a total threat. He brought a bigger level of balance because of taking a big risk. And I think sometimes as older people, elders, and people in the middle, we're trying to prevent our young people from taking risks, but sometimes those risks are actually what's going to take us further than the elders could have thought of, because they were so practiced at keeping balance the way that they kept it.
Right. Very well. Very good. All right, cool. Go on, John. Anyone else? Mustafa, jump on that, please.
I'm very new to this, so it's just sort of watching it, and kind of I have a lot of questions probably that I want to think about. It was really moving though for me to not understand it and see these boys relate to it. Which is really touching, and I really appreciate your point too. I think a little bit about Octavia Butler and everything we touch, we change, and everything that we change changes us. So, but a lot to think about. Thank you for asking.
For sure.
Should I?
For people who just jumped in, have y'all seen Kazazimoto yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, you have Disney Plus? You have Disney Plus? No. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
All right. Yeah, maybe we'll watch another one. I think we have like a little bit of time. Anyone have the time? 140? Oh yeah, we got plenty of time. All right, cool. Y'all want to watch another one? Yeah. Why not? Right. All right. Cool. All right. Let's see here.
Also, for the new folks, we got food over here.
Yes, yes, please.
Pasta, drinks, so please help yourself.
Yes, help yourself. Let's see here. Oh, yes, this is a good one.